This week brings a really intense and triggering full moon, but we have some supportive energy from Jupiter in Chiron, which allows us to grow and heal from our wounds. Welcome back to the Hello Fluid Collective podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and I love all things astrology and small business. If you are new here, I am going to ask that you please sign up for my email newsletter because I want you to be able to get the free month ahead horoscope where I go over all the important astrology happening for the month ahead. And you'll get it in a cute little blog form, or you can get every single date that's happening. And if you're making some plans, maybe you choose a more social, supportive weekend rather than one that's going to be tense and potentially cause mishaps and arguments and some maybe not so fun things to plan a fun event around. If you've been following me along, thank you so much for your patience. Every single episode I say that. I love you so much, and I really hope you're already signed up. This episode, we are talking about the astrology for the week of May 12th through May 18th. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So the week starts off strong with a full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is the most intense sign. It likes to go very deep. Intensity isn't always a bad thing. I always say that we find passion where we find intensity. But with a full moon, which brings full emotions, that's going to bring full intense emotions. This could be intensely happy emotions. So it doesn't mean, it's going to be bad. Nothing in astrology is good, nothing is bad. It's always in the name of growth and personal development, if you're paying attention. So the next couple of transits I'm going to be talking about all tie into this full moon. So first, let me just talk a little bit about the full moon itself. A full moon in general is always about highlighting things, illuminating them with the moon's brightness, and showing what we can let go of for the last part of this moon cycle. So in the beginning of a moon cycle, we're growing. It gets really full. And for the next 2 weeks, it's getting smaller. So we're releasing, we're letting go so that when we come to that new cycle, we can start fresh. Scorpio, just like Pluto, rules transformation. It rules going deep. It rules authenticity. There is no there is no being superficial with Scorpio. You're not going to meet a Scorpio who loves small talk, I'll tell you that. They like to talk about the taboo things, the things that are kind of hidden, whether it be sex or intimacy or death. Scorpio also represents death and rebirth in the sense of finishing a big cycle and starting something fresh. So any place where you feel that you have been unable, unwilling, or just haven't gone really deep into, or maybe you've been putting a block there because it's scary to go deep, this full moon could illuminate that and figure out what we can do to take it one little step further past that block that we're putting up so we can really dig deep and uncover what's under there. Now, on that same day, and almost like within the same hour, we have another exact transit, and that's Mercury forming a square to Pluto. So this transit is a really powerful part of this full moon chart because one, they're happening so close together, and two, Pluto is the modern day ruler of Scorpio. So there's just another connection with this full moon in Scorpio. Now, Pluto is tightly connected to control and power. And when there's a square with Pluto, it's going to bring up power struggles. And because it's with Mercury, this is going to be with our mind and the way that we're communicating. So what this means is thoughts that have power over us. So whether it's these thoughts that may come in from external forces like our family, societal conditions, our culture, that really have a power over us and the decisions that we're making, this is going to be highlighted during this time. It can also highlight power dynamics or power struggles within the way we communicate. So for example, maybe at work, there's somebody who really just speaks over you or doesn't let other people talk. This is gonna, come up. It's most likely going to come up under this energy, which is a good thing. And when I say come up, I mean come up in like a tipping point kind of way, which is gonna most likely feel uncomfortable. But that tipping point then allows us to address it and figure something else out. Squares always create enough tension for us to feel the need to make important changes. I will note on a more personal level, outside of relationships and, work relationships and things like that, Pluto can be quite obsessive. So watch out for really obsessive thoughts. A lot of the time when we have obsessive thoughts, it's because we don't have control over the outcome of the situation. So we keep replaying the thought, going over again until we can reach a point in our thought where we feel comfortable. But if we don't know the outcome, sometimes that point never comes until we're in the situation. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? So this can be really dominant during this time, which again isn't going to feel great. But now that you have this foresight, you can kind of catch it ahead of time. And when you find yourself looping on a thought, acknowledge it, give it some space, and be like, why do I keep thinking about this? Is there a piece of this that I can let go of and just trust that I can handle whatever outcome will come? I can trust that whatever situation comes up, it's going to be okay and I'll figure it out. We don't have to know the outcome in order for things to be okay. I also want to say, watch out for being manipulated, which is very easy under this energy, or manipulating others. It's easy to be manipulative if we're not paying attention. So take a step back and really think about the way that you're communicating with other people. So all of those things are going to be highlighted through our emotions and to our sense of security, because that's what happens with the moon, especially a full moon. For both of these things, for business owners, my suggestion to you is looking into the ways that we can let go of control. This can really happen a lot in business. We want to hold on tightly, and that actually prevents us as business owners from growing sometimes, especially when it comes to asking for help or hiring help. We really want to have full control of the things and the outcomes that are happening. So our plate just gets really full because we don't want to let things go. I know I can do that. I don't want to let other people edit my podcast because there are things that I want it to be done my way, but it eats up a lot of my time. So I have to make a choice. Okay, moving on. The next day that we have an exact transit is Saturday, May 17th. And we have two transits that day. The first one is the sun forming a conjunction to Uranus. Now, first, before we talk about the sun conjunct Uranus, I just want to tie this transit back to the full moon, because the time of the full moon, the moon itself is about 3 or 4 degrees away from forming an opposition to Uranus. So it is a part of this full moon chart, and it really ties into everything I've been talking about in terms of control, because Uranus, I'm sorry if you can hear these dogs barking. It's a little wild in my neighborhood right now. Uranus rules sudden changes, unexpected situations, and what better way to test our relationship to control than when things don't go according to plan. So it's probably going to be in a very frustrating way, but again, it's going to test how we handle not having control of the outcome. With this kind of energy, I'm not even going to say plan for the unexpected, because that's kind of like, oh, have contingency plans. Contingency plans don't even really stand a chance under this energy, okay? All we can do is be present and be flexible and be ready to pivot, which is really just a mental game of being mentally prepared to go whatever direction. Okay, coming back to Saturday, when it's the sun forming a conjunction to Uranus. So this is sometimes known as the most surprising day of the year, because whenever the sun goes conjunct with another planet, it brings a lot of light, it brings a lot of energy to the characteristics of that planet. A conjunction isn't naturally super supportive. It isn't naturally a tension-filled conversation. It's very neutral, so it can go quite a few ways. What I do want to say is that if you allow yourself to kind of flow with the energy of the day, the benefit of this transit is that we get to experience ourselves, because this is the sun, which rules the self, your identity, your sense of purpose, in new and different ways, because a new situation is coming up with Uranus, right? So the golden thing about this is you're like, hey, I didn't think I could do that. I've never put myself in that situation, and now I've seen a new side of me. It's kind of cool. It also allows you to think of new solutions. It's very innovative because when you're put in a different box, when you're put in a different situation, you gotta think differently. You gotta show up differently. So if there's something, you want to try something new and exciting, different ways of expressing yourself, this is a fun energy to try it under. Hey, why not? Maybe you want to wear a different outfit. Maybe you want to make a YouTube video. Maybe you want to sing something, change your tone, just do something a little different and be like, let me show up in this way. Do it. Try it. And you can always delete it later if you really don't like it. They do meet up in the sign of Taurus, so that brings an energy of money, comfort, luxury, our senses into this as well. So if you want to try something new in relation to your senses, whether it's listening to something new, touching something new, crafting something new with your hands, this is all supported. As for business owners, like I mentioned, plan for flexibility. Again, you can't really plan for what's going to happen because Uranus is unexpected. We don't know. You can't make a plan because something's going to come up or something could come up where you just really couldn't even think that that was going to happen. So all I can say is be flexible. Do not be rigid on or around this day because it will come and bite you in the ass. Later on that day, we have Mercury forming another square, and it's to Mars. Okay, these aren't really fun planets for anything to be forming a square with. I will say that. I'm sorry, it could be a rather frustrating week. So when we get Mercury forming a square to Mars, that is tension between the way we take action, the way we assert ourselves, our motivations, and the way we process things, the way we think, and the way we communicate. So there could be this disconnect or this friction between how we process things and the way that we decide to take action. Maybe we think one thing and we do another. Maybe we say we're going to do this and we do something else. It can also lead to assertive conversations and things can get heated pretty quickly. It can have us thinking somewhat angry thoughts, which again, we get to this tipping point with squares that then allow us to initiate the change. So this energy doesn't really help with the unexpectedness. It can have us leading to an outburst really quickly with the frustration and the unexpected changes. So if you're doing that, all I'm saying is it's okay. Don't judge yourself. Just try to control the anger in a way that is safe and healthy. There's that word control again. Hello, that's just coming up throughout the whole week, our connection to control. But if you can, try to create an outlet for that time. It doesn't have to be creating an outlet for your anger for the rest of your life, but for that moment, what is accessible for you to release that energy into. There could be a lot of anxiety and your thoughts kind of built up into your body with this transit because Mars rules the body. So doing what you can to move your body, dance, repetitive movements, kickboxing, whatever is accessible to you and your body to allow you to move those thoughts through. We could be really stuck in our mind, do some movement, and then after that, things are a bit more clear. As for business owners, I would make sure you are really thinking before you are jumping to communicating something, whether it's with somebody on your team, a client, posting a hot take on social media. We're just really inflamed on and around this day and kind of this whole week. So if you just get a response really quickly and you start typing on your phone, you start filming something and you post it right away, you may find that when you watch it again later, it's not resonating anymore. Mercury square Mars can bring really impulsive decision making. So just film it. By all means, it could be really cathartic, but maybe just wait to post it, wait to hit send, let it sit in your drafts, have somebody else read it for a second. The last transit of the week is happening on Sunday, May 18th, and that is Jupiter forming a sextile to Chiron. Okay, thank you. Let's get to supportive energy coming in this week. So Jupiter is all about growth, and Chiron is all about our wounds, vulnerability, and healing. So bringing it together, this is all about growing from our wounds and using it as a place to expand from. This can also be an energy where we expand the ways in which we heal. Maybe we find a new coping mechanism. Maybe we find a new outlet where we can process energy, emotions, traumas. It's an energy that can have us feeling a bit more optimistic in the way that we are processing these wounds. Just bring some joy to it. Joy might be a stretch, but instead of being so harsh and heavy, this brings a lighter feel to it. Now, I will say we do have some more intense transits that are combined with this, but this one can lighten that intensity, that aggression, that anger that might come in the week. We'll be feeling this energy. You're probably already feeling this energy a little bit. This transit will last about 3 weeks in total, about a week and a half on either side of Sunday. Now, I will say we did just have a Jupiter square to Chiron, which is somewhat of a similar energy, but it can more highlight where our wounds are not allowing us to grow. This is more of a supportive energy that brings you a resource that helps you grow, but you do have to put yourself out there and look for it. Now, I will say we have another Jupiter square Chiron later this year, and it hits 3 times because of the retrogrades. So anything that we are not addressing now in regards to growing from our wounds, expanding our healing modalities, may come back around later this year in October. So anything that we're avoiding now is going to come back and bite you in the ass with a square later. So really work on that. Really go out of your way to search for an outlet, search for somebody that you can process these things with, and it will be a lot easier throughout the rest of the year. As for business owners, the great thing about Chiron is that we become experts in whatever spot that it rules, whatever planets it makes connections with in our chart, because we've spent a lot of time thinking about it, talking about it, healing about it. So we really learn a lot. And so with that, we can then become a great teacher with this. And Jupiter being involved, Jupiter is a great teacher. It's all about knowledge. It's all about helping others understand. It's about philosophy. And so this is a great transit to take your wounds, take your trauma, take your hardships, and turn them into something beautiful, where not only you can help other people through a similar situation or avoid that situation, but it's also really healing to yourself when you can talk about it from this perspective of, I've done this, I've grown from it, and now it's become something beneficial where I can help other people. It's empowering. So if there's any hardships you've experienced in your business, or even on like a personal level that you can then share and create connection with your audience or your team, this will be a really wonderful time to do so. All right, my beautiful people, that is your astrology forecast for this week. It might be intense, and I'm sorry if it is, but just remember, it's all cradled by that beautiful Jupiter sextile Chiron energy where we are growing. I do want to mention there are some connections with the North Node that are happening. I don't really talk about the North Nodes when I'm doing transit astrology. I will talk about it when I'm doing natal chart readings, but I just don't do that. I feel like there's enough to track. There's some other reasons I don't do that. It's not an actual planet, or it's not even an asteroid or anything. It's a point in the sky. So transit astrology, I don't really talk about that, but if that's something you are interested in, then I highly recommend looking that up, looking into other astrologers who talk about that. Okay, now I'm finished. I hope you have a beautiful week. I have faith in us. We can do this. Take care, and until next time, stay hella fluid.